Legos thing was also.
Hello and welcome to Gaming Nodes, a weekly podcast from independent validator teams. And it's a day of highs, it's a day of lows, as you've just been hearing. It's a day of pages going off constantly for the last 3 hours, every minute. I'm going to move that out of my eye line, so it's not going to stop going off. Long story. So until it stops, I guess. I mean, Sod's Law. We'll get into a flow of an actual topic on this podcast for the first time ever. And then I will actually have something that needs actioning pretty much immediately and with quite a bit of urgency. But
hold on. Does this mean you are an especially good validator or an especially bad validator? Because if it were me, I would just hit silence and be like, all right, moving on. But you don't. You just let it keep going. That's the sign of ascendance.
Well, because, okay, so here's the thing, right? What if in between all those other, so that there is a system down, but it's expected to be down. So that's kind of fine. I would be more concerned if I want to know, it just went off again. I just want to know that it is still down every minute, because otherwise something else has gone wrong. And then we're out of planned thing and into unplanned thing. And then it's time to worry. Additionally, yeah, I suppose if there's more than one buzz, it means that something else has gone wrong. So just because you've got one notification going crazy, and for reasons you haven't muted it, I mean, obviously you can go and resolve it in PagerDuty. That would not be the right thing to do in this case for reasons. I don't want to miss the fact that a different validator is down. That would be super annoying. And also, to be fair, this was our second, although this one is planned, this is our second outage this week, actually, because we had 45 minutes on the Juno upgrade the other day, because the new version of the SDK does actually validate whether or not there's a Genesis file after an upgrade, which it always should have done, but it never, I think, actually in practice did in the past. So we actually, the box we're currently using, obviously remote signer, so it's an XRPC that was flipped over. It didn't actually have a Genesis file anywhere on the box. So that upgrade happened. It stuck, and I was thinking, I'm pretty sure this should have been quite a quick upgrade, and yet it's still down. Let's check the logs. It is an error actually. That's a bit of a weird. And honestly, this is the danger of being on duty when it's you and you've had, for small people reasons, not as much sleep as was previously the norm in your life. Although, to be fair, it's been getting a lot better recently. More on that, whether or not it does improve or not, I'll report back.
I always thought that the daemons would at least check that the Genesis file was there. The fact that you didn't have a Genesis file existing, that just blows my mind. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, I genuinely, I obviously I was aware that there is a checker, but it doesn't run, or it didn't run previously. So I was just like, whatever. Especially, I've been quite fast and loose with decommissioning old hardware and shuffling stuff around, especially things like RPCs. So it took me longer than I'd like to admit, about 10 minutes to go, hang on, this is just the Genesis file is actually not present, isn't it? That's what it is. It's not the Genesis file's wrong. Because I was there which one's the correct one, for Phoenix 2, let's compare the SHA, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, hang on, you're being stupid. It's probably not there. Just download the new one. And it's relatively big. Just download it, overwrite the old one, and then just restart the thing. Just stop trying to actually, let's assume this is the problem, just knock it on the head. And but yeah, I like in kind of classic, when you're kind of like rubber ducking a problem and you're like, hang on a minute, I went and posted on Discord, like, hang on a second, I think I don't have a Genesis file. And somebody was just like, you can't even start the node if you've not got a Genesis file. And I was like, look, buddy, I don't know who you are. And you're probably right. You're probably right in that should be how it works. But let me tell you, we've been running in production for a long time, playing very fast and loose with these boxes, and I can tell you that's not how it currently works.
Well, so that makes
yeah.
me wonder, because there's a case where you have to like do a full database reset, to an unsafe reset all, to like reset the Genesis. So when does that become a situation then? Because that just popped up today with a network upgrade where someone, or no, a network start where someone had to do an unsafe reset all because their Genesis wasn't being read correctly, and they had a snapshot.
Was their Genesis not being read correctly because the JSON was malformed? Because that just sounds, because all it does is just generates default Genesis, or at least that's what it used to do.
They used the old Genesis. It was a fork. So they used the old Genesis, and then they didn't update it with a new one, or they did replace it, but they didn't do an unsafe reset. So they deleted the database. They didn't do an unsafe reset, and then they tried to go on, and then it still had the old Genesis somehow in memory.
So I think
I'm not sure that unsafe reset does unsafe reset. Actually, now I think about it, does unsafe reset will definitely reset the Genesis file? Because I know it resets the state.
it doesn't. It doesn't reset the Genesis file.
I don't think it changes the Genesis.
But I don't think it reads it either. I don't think it does anything with it.
Well, it didn't in previous versions. I think that's the point.
Yeah, I think it does now.
As long as you, because I guess my understanding is it doesn't read it on startup. So on a previous version, as long as you were past block 1 and not as an upgrade block, it would just restart the service. And if everything was okay, your state was okay, your cache was okay, nothing was corrupted, it should just run. However, I think SDK 47, it always checks it on startup.
Yeah,
maybe it doesn't check.
I'd be interested to know what kind of checks it does, because previously I think
the variant checks would take a very long time, wouldn't it? Although, to be fair, not anymore because of that fix that Juno paid the bounty for. But even then, some of the other invariant checks aren't quick.
So I think like previously, like some things you did, it would read the Genesis, but other things like you only had to have the right network name in there for things to work. And now I guess it's doing some kind of more in-depth thing, because people without the Genesis, it won't work. But I don't know what it might be. Like, there's really no information you need from there. And it doesn't relate to like so say if you're starting from a snapshot or state sync, like all of the account information does not really relate to anything anymore, because that's from, an initial state, which in the form of the database you're receiving is non-relatable. It's all gone information. So yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe it still only works if you've just got the right network name in there. Don't know. Because a lot of times, like,
it would be quite funny if literally all it did was parse the JSON and went, "Is the network name right?" Okay.
Does the network name match what the databases we're pulling? Yeah, okay.
That would be very, very Cosmos. Let's check it's there. Let's check network name, and then the rest of it will take some time. So let's just not.
How would they check? Like, unless there's something that gets passed through with in the database, the initial database, that's like, yeah, this is, I don't know, for example, like it's got to be this length or whatever. But like unless they're now injecting something into the database on startup that actually
you
has
could
that.
Check. Oh no, you fucking can't, because
you can't check anything because it's all gone. The data's gone from your. If you're state syncing, then you're just taking
an
a current
node.
state.
You couldn't replay the TXs, so yeah, you're fucked.
Yeah, but that would take.
If only there was some way of ensuring the integrity of each individual bundle of transactions, such that moving forward you could make sure that it contained a complete history of every other bundle of transactions going back to the Genesis file.
Something like a public ledger might be able to solve that.
Yeah, it sounds like the job of a validator.
That'd be interesting. Okay, so anyway, that's why every minute my phone is going off. So shall we go on to the news?
If you don't put the banner up, and again, I don't have any news, but anyway. Oh,
I've got a handful of things I can throw in for you.
well, I do have some stuff to talk about. It's not really news. Can you take the fucking news banner off? It's more talking points. I don't like the news banner. It's distracting.
Don't take it off. I like it.
I know
I
that
think it's
makes
great.
you want to keep it up more, but like for those at home, fucking send a petition or something. This is annoying.
Well, okay.
So anyway,
I mean, I can throw in something to begin with, right?
No, look, I'll put in the
If you
beginning
want.
stuff, and then when I
Okay.
run out of shit to talk about, you can start talking about stuff. All right, that's how it works now. So, all right. So, well, in Game of Nodes news, we have started a DAO. We're now a DAO.
Oh, it's official now.
Well, we've got one.
Nobody sent me a link. What?
You have a link. It's
Do I?
literally in the group chat.
Oh my
Aren't
god!
you?
Like 4
don't you
days
have
ago
an
or
address
something,
in it?
buddy.
Like, aren't you part of the DAO?
This is why there's no shitpost public griefing proposals from Schulze yet, clearly. Incoming. But that we do actually
Ooh.
we do now have a forum to vote on whether or not the banner should stay. And it will be publicly auditable, obviously.
I will get outvoted immediately. All right. So what the DAO is for is we have no fucking clue. But initially, I guess we intend to like seed the DAO a little bit of moolah, a little bit of cashish in the form of probably shit coins or something. And then what's our
Like, do you know?
initial mandate here? So we're going to be sponsoring some stuff. We're going to be
We're doing some fucking marketing. We're going to be sponsoring some shit. We're going to be paying for some shit. We're going to be chatting some shit on the basis of those activities. It's going to be a whole new world.
Yeah, it's lots of shit is going to go down in the DAO. So yeah, I mean, if you're interested, you can go and see what we vote about. We'll put a link to the DAO in the show notes. If you want to make a sizable donation, go right ahead as an anonymous person. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so that's the DAO. That's the DAO business out of the way. In the actual Cosmos news, a couple of interesting things happened yesterday and last night, depending on what your time zone is. So a small issue that I wanted to bring up was oh, Jake's here. What is that fucking picture? For the folks at home, Jake's Hartnell's picture in YouTube is some cyberpunk Jake thing going on. Looks pretty cool. Okay, so Evmos. So there was an issue last night, Schulze. You'd be familiar with this one as well, where there was a bug from Go that made a bunch of nodes halt because of the time zone.
No. It's not from Go. I don't think it's from Go, but it is time zone related. If people had their server on the wrong time zone, if they didn't have it set as UTC, that's the issue. It wasn't Go related at all.
Okay. I saw someone put up a pull request to change a line in some code. Was that not in Go? I thought it was.
I mean, okay, yeah. So technically, like the fix was written in Go, but it wasn't due to like the Go versioning or anything. It had to do with the way they were saving time, which is what halted Chihuahua. God, in the early days, same exact thing. Where rather than using like the built-in time, they were just spattering things out there.
So is this something? And like, to be honest, I think most of us sort of aim to have our servers in UTC because it makes a whole lot more sense when you have all of your servers in the same time zone when you dial them up. But I mean, easily overlooked. I guess that's going into my Ansible now to make sure that everything's set in UTC when doing the initial hardening on the server. But I mean, it's there was a lot of nodes that went down. So I guess it's common that people don't do that. So is that, do you think, like, is that something that networks should be making sure that their code is resilient to that, like that it's
Yeah, without a doubt.
specifying time zone? Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they're not is just outrageous, really.
Yeah,
it's
so it
quite a
should
big
be
fuck up.
it should come from the network to make sure that things like that don't happen.
You shouldn't be looking it up on the host. It should be completely host independent. But the correct answer to what time zone should your servers be is UTC. The only two valid time zones are UTC and UGT. So
What's UGT?
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Universal Greetings Time.
GMT?
No,
What's-
it's like I feel like this is a very old IRC or computer programmer thing, potentially, but you always say good morning when you join a channel, regardless of what the time is, because the time is always UGT.
Right.
In fact, that's
right.
probably why the crypto GM thing is a thing. It's probably like back in history, it's probably from programmers coming from IRC who just say morning, whatever time zone you're in. It's like quite common from threads and things I've been in historically that people talk about UGT.
Is that different from UTC or what the hell?
Well, it's always morning. Doesn't matter what time zone you're in. So it's
You're
like
saying it's
like
ambiguous.
UTC.
It's always morning wherever you are.
There's
Kind of
obviously
like it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
So it's like late night here right now, but I would sign on. I'd be like, morning. It's
morning.
just UGT, right? So it's kind of an inflexible standard in some ways compared to UTC, but
Universal good morning time.
universal greetings, I believe, but could also be that. But presumably that's also where the GM thing comes from.
In any case, everybody should operate on UTC regardless when they're talking to people on the internet. And oh my God, the amount of people who just quote times in, Eastern Standard Time or whatever the other one is in America is so annoying. They're like, there's only two time zones in the world, Eastern or Western. No, there's a whole nother world. So UTC, everybody, please. All right. So the other issue that I wanted to bring up. Oh yeah. So Neutron. This is interesting. 2 tombstones on Neutron, which are, for people at home who don't know, Neutron is an interchain security chain that's attached to Atom. And so basically all of the Atom validators run these consumer chains as well, and they're tied to the main validator that they have back on Atom. So yesterday or last night, was this due to an upgrade or something, Schultzy? Do you know?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any upgrade. I think it was just something happened.
Okay, so something happened. Not being an Atom validator, I'm not 100% sure of the details here, and or how ICS works. But there's been 2 tombstones on Neutron chain. I won't say who they are, and the question mark now is, how does that relate to, and what happens to their Atom validator? So that's all I've got in that item of news, although it's a big item. So
it doesn't relate to the Cosmos really. Right now, tombstoning cannot affect your main validator. In order to incur slashing, like they didn't even get slashed. In order to incur slashing, there'll need to be a vote to slash the validators who tombstoned. So right now, much like a Kosh, tombstone means nothing, which is, in my opinion, what should be the way we do it anyway.
However, they are off the hook.
What do you mean they're off the hook? You mean because they're not being slashed?
No, because now they don't have to validate on Neutron. They're tombstoned.
Oh, is that true?
How else?
Wait, if you want to save money as an Atom validator,
tombstone yourself. I
This
mean,
is
look,
not technical advice, just in case we've got our facts a little bit muddled here before people go losing their delegators' funds.
so
Do
James
your own
said,
research.
"Null, they are still alive." Look, I got to confess, I really know very little about ICS. Other than that, you know, it seems like a horrible thing for validators financially, but I don't know what that means 100%, James. Is that they Tombstone? The Tombstone validators are not offline, still active. I don't. How? Okay. Thanks, Frey. The Frey has just popped up the circle stake sign. Okay. In other news, so this is getting back to just crypto in general. So PayPal stablecoin. So going through the Twitter or the X, the Zitter during the week, one of the prominent subjects was that PayPal are going to be launching a stablecoin. I'm not sure if it's rumors or a done deal, but I mean, people are pretty excited about that in general for crypto. So I guess the potential here is that PayPal's obviously a big platform. They have 400 odd million active accounts, 1.2 trillion in volume a year. So I guess people are excited that this is a bit of an entry gateway into crypto. Whether or not like the whole crypto side of this stable coin would be sort of abstracted away so they wouldn't really know is anyone's guess at this point. But I mean, you know, PayPal does 70% of eBay transactions as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of potential that coin is going to get a lot of use. Whether or not that use sort of is paired back to an entry point into blockchain, you know, that remains to be seen. Apparently, they intend to work close with regulators. So, yeah, but later on in the week, I saw some additional information just about people sort of analyzing that situation. And apparently, the stablecoin contracts which are floating around relating to this PayPal stablecoin are written in a relatively old version of Solidity, which people weren't impressed with. I think it's susceptible to certain types of attacks. But also, there were aspects to that contract where funds can be frozen and then wiped, which people didn't enjoy either. And I guess that's the centralized nature of this type of coin. And I guess that's also to enable working with regulators. Any comments, guys? Been very quiet.
Is that any different than how USDC works? I mean, it doesn't wipe people, but it can surely blacklist them, right? So
there's a two-step process in this PayPal stablecoin. Step one, freeze the account. Step two, send a message to wipe frozen account. So you have to freeze it first, and then you can just clear it. So, well, that's my understanding anyway.
what does it mean to freeze it and clear it, right? Because if they're not like custodians, then how are they doing that? Just, like, do they have an internal ledger of what the actual PayPal is?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
How would they wipe the account, right?
So
Well,
I
it's just
guess
a
it's a
shitcoin,
message
isn't it?
which
So you
just burns all the coins.
yeah, you just change the account balance to zero, don't you? But the point is that PayPal, if they do that to you and you're an American citizen, you go to the SEC and they go to real jail. Or they don't. They go to white collar jail. They probably go to white collar jail. They play tennis for a few years. No big deal. But, you know, the
So
reality is,
the SEC won't say boys will be boys? No?
I don't know. It feels like they're not particularly in a boys will be boys kind of mood at the moment. And PayPal are really, really, I mean, they have offices. You could walk into their offices with people with badges quite easily. So yeah, it kind of seems like if they started wiping customers' accounts, they'd probably. I mean, are they? Okay, so I'm going to show my ignorance of PayPal's business model here, but I'm guessing they're not regulated as a bank already. They're regulated as a money service business or whatever the US equivalent is. So my assumption is they are already a regulated entity, with like some controls, but probably not the same controls as a bank.
I believe that's correct, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not really sure. Like, I mean, obviously, if you get rugged, I mean, I think the biggest risk, rather than getting rugged by PayPal, is probably that PayPal put out shit code. That would be my worry from what you just said there. No, although you granted, haven't read the code, haven't really been following it, not that bothered about Ethereum as a general rule, other than like high level news stuff. Although this is, to be fair, big news. I mean, I guess I saw it, but didn't care that much, if I'm completely honest, because I'm not going to use this fucking shitcoin. But it would be a worry if the code is in some way bad and then PayPal get rugged at a big scale, because then PayPal might go under and then you won't be made whole and then you're fucked. And they're also presumably not a bank, so the funds aren't safe. So it's kind of back to the thing of like, actually, you'd be safer off with a really, really unsafe, decentralized shitcoin rather than a centralized shitcoin, because it's not backed by anything really. Because PayPal presumably, are they backing it 1-to-1 with US dollars? Like, what's their mechanism?
I can't imagine why they wouldn't. I assume that this
Do they
is
have enough
like,
money to do that? I mean,
well,
PayPal
they
have got
would,
deep pockets, but like they haven't got like central bank deep pockets. They've just got a few fucking
but I mean,
dollary dues from
they would
grannies
collect
buying
they
crocheting
would
stuff on
collect
eBay.
dollary dues as they issue the token, right? So if they launch a stable coin, to get the stable coin, presumably you have to buy it or swap some fiat for it. So I would imagine that they are required to hold 1-to-1 every dollar that you have in your PayPal account already as a custody service of fiat in a bank somewhere, or at least as like a cash equivalent or something
So
like
is
that.
did the contract have a variable supply then, so that they could buy up US
The
dollars and then issue more?
the supply can be just varied because it's got an admin on the account and you can just inflate it as they want. But that's no different to like USDT or USDC or anything like that. As they make more issue, they presumably collect money and then issue stablecoin. So I imagine it would work exactly the same way. They've probably seen the amount of profit that Tether made last year and gone, oh, okay, we need to get in on that. So
As anyone in their right mind would. The fact that the EU hasn't issued their own like central stablecoin to me is just kind of wild.
what was that comment? These comments are jumping up and down so quick.
I was looking for Todd's one, but I clicked the wrong button. So Soy2 Studio said, for those at home, they can mint infinite amounts. So that kind of answers the question. And friend of the poddy, Block Pain, said there's absolutely no chance. I added the word absolutely. Sorry, Todd. No chance they're 1-to-1. They lend that money out, just like a real bank. So it's kind of back to so my concern here would be that a business like this being credible, and I think actually to Schultz's point, which I think he was going to say something around the fact there isn't any EU Euro stablecoin is a bit of a missed opportunity, is that you want more than one bank, just like you issue a currency, right? If you go to like Hong Kong and you get like Hong Kong dollars, you get them from the bank that you get them from, and they all have slightly different, or at least I don't know if this is still the case, but it was like 15 years ago when I was there, that depending on which ATM you got the notes out, they would be different because different banks issued them.
Really?
Yeah, because it's just because it's just Hong Kong dollars. They're issued by the banks that are there, but it's not like it's just a principality or whatever. So like I think like the conceptual framework has already existed for a lot of places where the banks issue the money. I think that's actually fucking true in Scotland, you know, because there's no such thing as legal tender in Scotland. There's
What are
Scottish pounds, but they are different to British pounds.
what?
And they,
No.
yeah,
Okay.
so Scottish pounds different to British pounds. British shops are not obliged to take Scottish pounds. So shops in the rest of England, Wales, Northern Ireland, not obliged to take Scottish pounds. It's at the discretion of the shop owner. And from memory, the Scottish notes, in addition, are also printed up by bank. So different banks. I think they all have agreed to use the same design. But yeah, they issue by. But anyway, the reason I bring this up, and please in the comments fact check me on the whole Scotland thing. It's been a little while since
I'm going to intercede just a little bit since I'm reading about it right now. So technically, the pound sterling is their legal tender, but yeah, they just issue their own notes, and those notes can be used throughout Scotland, but they're basically not used anywhere outside of Scotland.
There you go.
What?
Well, I mean that's the way that money first came about anyway, is banks would just issue banknotes. It's like literally a piece of paper that says we'll pay the money on the note.
Again, like, recommendation from the Game of Nodes book club, Debt by David Graeber, if you're interested in the history of development of money and debt relations. But so anyway, the thing is that all of these currencies where the banks themselves issue the currency, they do actually obviously have a central government or an authority kind of controlling the overall supply. They have like some kind of backing, if you like. But then it's actually issued by a number of institutions. So no one institution is a single point of failure. It's almost like it's kind of, it's like the opposite of centralization, where you have like a variety of different things like nodes in a network, so that one shouldn't be able to bring down the others. I know it doesn't work like that in practice. I was there in 2008.
I feel like I've heard about this before.
Yeah, doing an economics degree in 2008. That's a good time to do an econ degree. They're like, by the way, you're going to be examined on all of this, even though look out the fucking window. 20 years of theory is literally burning right now. Anyway, the point is that I think that there's a model there where if you have these kind of stable coins at the moment, you have all these individual people issuing them, like USDT, USDC, now USDP, USDPP. I don't know, whatever. PP, PayPal, USDPP. Is it USDPP? You're welcome, PayPal. You can have that one for free. I won't even charge you the consultancy fee. But it kind of seems like they all are very brittle on their own, you know, centralized, like all the worst aspects of centralization. So it kind of make more sense if they, even if they don't want to fucking get the US government involved, whatever, I don't really give a shit. I'm not American. But like if they actually like maybe fucking pooled their liquidity or something, or collaborated in some, or like they could even, you know, build a protocol to collaborate and then do it in code, and then it could be auditable by other people if they really wanted to actually, like, you know, get involved in the crypto circle jerk properly, rather than just standing by the side kind of watching it and just being like,
it's like a mono jerk.
Jack off yet? That's kind of what they're doing right now. They're just standing by the side going, that's kind of hot. God, I don't know where my fucking metaphor's gone today. Sorry about that. That's actually, yeah. This podcast should not be listened to by under whatever the age of consent is, whatever in your country. Anyway, I'm out of steam. Fucking.
I don't think I put my stamp of approval on that statement.
We need to vote on that in the DAO.
Yeah, send it up now.
Which bit? There was a lot there.
Should you consent to listening to the podcast?
Do we have to individually vet listeners?
It's a permissionless podcast, let's be honest. We believe in permissionless, decentralized systems. This podcast is no different.
So, Soy2 Studio had a stab at me here. In other news, Null's time as a profitable Flix validator is over, which he blames on airdrops. So, I made a tweet yesterday. I should have learnt my lesson by now, just to not make tweets. So I was just looking through MintScan at a couple of things, and I noticed there's like an IBC in, IBC out graph in MintScan, and you could see the OmniFlix one, like as they did the airdrop, like all of these IBC outs, and it's just like a steady stream of IBC out now to Osmosis. And look, I don't really like airdrops that much. And so I just sort of pointed out that basically everyone, and I don't know, people are just sort of saying that this is Flick's only problem, but I don't really agree with that. It seems to me 90% of the time when there's an airdrop that people just basically sell it now. It's like in the deep of a bear. No one's really enthusiastic about anything. If there's any opportunity for a bit of a cash grab, then people just sell it, right? And I mean, it's sort of I don't know the full mechanisms of this, like where that money actually comes from, like who are those LPs at the moment, in osmosis, but it seems like it's selling it out of someone's pocket. Anyway, the Flix token has not done well since it started. So, Soy2's just pointing out we're like number 6 validator in OmniFlix, and yeah, our total value lock to our validator is definitely under 50 grand now. And we're not too far from the top in terms of staked token. So I think Cosmovise is up the top there, but their total stake must be something like maybe 60 grand or something like that, if I'm doing ratios real quick in my head. So I would say basically no validator is profitable on OmniFlix right now. So thanks, Soy2 Studio.
So OmniFlix is now like every other Cosmos chain to validate on them.
The market cap must be really small at the moment. So there was an interesting thing that someone put up on Twitter during the week where the bad kids on Stargaze are obviously keep going up in value. And someone said, what if, it might have even been Pikachu intern, what if the market cap of bad kids exceeds the market cap of the chain, which is pretty funny. It's like bad kids, you know, based on the floor price would cost you $5 million to buy, and I think the chain's market cap is like $13 million or something like that. $13 million. I pointed out that it can't exceed it in real terms, because once you start selling, like, you can only sell the value of the chain because there's only tokens that have a value, right? Whilst it might appear on paper to be worth more, it is not worth more.
Well, could you wait for mesh security and then sell your like founder amount of bad kids that are presumably squared away on a ledger somewhere to get your fat bag of meshy tokeny boys, and then buy out your host chain in a hostile takeover? Because that would be some fucking closing 10 minutes of The Big Short level fucking stuff. That would be some real margin cool shit, you know, like
Can you explain to me what a meshy boy is?
What?
A meshy boy. What is that?
Mesh security. Meshy
yeah.
boy. Classic.
What is the meshy boy though? Like, what is that? A commodity or something?
I think it was just a joke.
Just, you know, like a chunky boy, but like a meshy boy.
I mean, I don't quite understand. I haven't watched the video on mesh yet, so I don't. What happens there? Is there some sort of mesh security token that you're talking about, or
well,
like if you're transferring the bad kids off, what are you swapping them for?
It's less about mesh security, I suppose. More about the IBC piece becoming more. What I'm really saying, I suppose, is I'm just going mesh because I'm being fucking lazy. But what I really mean is, like, in a world where you can circle stake fucking tokens from one chain to another or whatever, and you can do like the IBC router stuff and jump tokens around more easily, you know, it's going to be more common to use, and it has already become this way, and it's a fucking great for taxes. We won't go into it, but it's fucking great for taxes to have random other coins given to your validator on random other chains as commission. Absolutely fucking stellar to just get like one fucking shit coin from some random chain on your Juno validator. But like,
Oh, mate,
Kujira.
you want to be fucking
that
on
world's coming.
Kujira and start complaining about random fucking coins.
Well, sure, right, yeah, 100%. But like, this is like the world that is coming in the cosmos. Like, it's not hard to see that you'd be that far, that it's coming in the future, and that you will be able to, because the whole point of a lot of these systems is basically pooling liquidity across sovereign app chains, right? So, although I'm kind of just hand waving the exact mechanism, you can see a future, if we're talking about like meme future, where bad kids have actually exceeded the market cap of a chain, of their host chain, in this case Stargaze. You could see that on that kind of time scale, which is probably 2 to 3 years, like you would have a lot of the affordances of mesh security in all likelihood, and the additional developments in IBC. And it's not impossible to imagine a world in which you could basically be selling those bad kids, despite them living on Stargaze, for a grab bag of other tokens. This moth has really decided it likes my fucking right eyeball. It keeps flying into my right eye. It's mad. It's going to die at some point because it will just hit my eye and then get stuck. And then we're both going to be in pain.
For those who are listening to the podcast, there has been a moth just sort of floating around the phrase head.
It's really disconcerting. Can I throw in a piece of news before you continue?
Yeah, I'm done with the news.
Ooh, I've got a lot of things to add.
So, an important bit of news if you are based in the UK, and I didn't even realize this until recently. Very heavy upfront caveat: I am not a lawyer. Please seek legal advice, professional legal advice from a from a non-shit legal representative who actually understands crypto. If you think this does apply to you, but the law is changing for crypto asset businesses and registration with the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA. It's actually already technically changing, and you have until I think October the 3rd to go and fucking fill out the paperwork. If this does affect you, and you got to pay £10,000 to register. So obviously that's part of it. But then, once you've done that, boys will be boys, is my understanding.
Wait, what's the point? What are you getting out of it?
You don't go to prison for 2 years and have your business seized.
Oh, nice.
So boys will no longer be boys in the UK.
Boys will not be boys unless they are regulated boys, but it only applies to my understanding of this, it only applies to the marketing of sale of crypto assets. So if you are shilling a shitcoin on TikTok, you now need to register with the FCA by the 3rd of October. It doesn't affect non-fungible tokens. So
wait, what? Like if you market fucking Big Balls blockchain coin, that you have to go register. But if you market, what's that ape one? The Bored Ape Yacht Club, you don't have to register?
They're unique items. You just have to pay your fucking VAT, man.
Okay.
Like fucking Dell and Rodney. No income tax, no VAT. Whatever.
Yeah,
anyway,
like you could sell shoes on the street, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah. And NFTs, they're just selling shit pictures on the internet. Like there's no fucking regulation element of that. It's just selling crap. It's not a financial instrument. Well, let's be fair, bad kids on crap. Stand by those. Unfortunately, the floor price of those fucking what they call glitch candies is not held up as well as bad kids. Anyway, so in conclusion, there is a very valuable piece of advice squirreled in the middle of this podcast. If you're based in the UK and shilling shit coins, go fucking look up the law change. You're looking for policy statement PS23/6 financial promotion rules for crypto assets, which is of course open on the FCA website. Go and seek legal advice. They're not going to catch up with you for fucking years. That's not legal advice, by the way. But reality is they're looking for you to come out of the woodwork and say we are a legitimate business, and that is the regulator looking to work with companies basically that are actually doing something legitimate. And eventually somebody will get made an example of if they're shilling shitcoins on TikTok. So don't be that guy. That's my phrase legal corner. That's the news I have this week. It's quite a big one though. big regulation-y balls one.
I mean, that is a pretty big, development there. So it's good for
But
people. to
understanding
take note.
here, so I talked to a lawyer about this. Long story as to why we're in that situation, but understanding is doesn't affect NFTs, doesn't affect validator services, doesn't affect kind of writing smart contract code, open sourcing it, whatever. It just really doesn't affect all that much, other than shilling shitcoins and launching shitcoins. Those two things, yeah, you have to register, and it's £10,000, and then every additional year it's 1.7% of earnings with a cap on it, and a £2,000 re-registration fee or something like that. So if it's actually a profitable shitcoin, worth registering with the FCA. If it's not a profitable shitcoin, then maybe crush your ledger, walk away.
I don't really understand, like, what is the benefit to the society in registering? Is it like that you like? I don't get it.
Well, the FCA has a bit more money, so that they can then go after other people. That would
But
be what
like,
they're looking to do.
by registering, does that give you immunity from fucking like shilling a shitcoin and dumping on people? Like,
Well, if you dump it, you'll be in breach of the fucking regulator, and you'll go to fucking prison, obviously.
Why?
Yeah, because that's like insider trading, like in the real world. If it was a
Well,
stock,
so
it'd
I
be
think
insider trading.
okay, right. So I'm not a fucking lawyer. We are very, very close to the get legal advice here in answer to Null's question. My understanding is this is basically they have in place rules about risky investments and marketing risky investments. They have seen the adoption and the holding of crypto assets in the UK increase massively in the last couple of years. And so they've just like taken an existing piece of legislation, which applied to, I think, other financial instruments and like payday loans and things possibly. And they've just pulled that off the shelf and gone, this applies to crypto now. So what they're going to do, presumably, is refine that. But for now, they're going, okay, if you're just shilling some shitcoin, we see that as risky enough and with enough downside that we want to know who you fucking are. If we don't know who you are, then there is this kind of sword of Damocles that if we do find out you're doing it, we can put you in prison. So that means that then they can basically get you under the regulator, put you in contact with them, charge you your $2,000 a year to be a regulated entity, $2,000 plus, whatever it would be, I guess, based on your turnover. And then they have an open channel to you to say, oh, okay, by the way, we've decided that these types of investments are actually like whatever, and these ones are much more risky. So if you fall under that, then you need to fill out additional stuff. You need to do blah, blah, blah. It's so that they can start to work out who is legit enough that they will come forward, identify themselves as a business, pay the money. If you're paying 10 grand and you're filling out all the paperwork and you're saying, hey, yep, cool, we work in the area, we fucking have an office, here's who we are, YOLO, whatever.
I wonder if you have to register like your social handles, like Big Balls Billy.
You will have to do, I mean, it's a regulator. It will be fucking loads of stuff, man. It will be proper due diligence, I would have thought. Otherwise, what's the fucking point?
Cash.
Well, I mean, part of the reason is obviously because they need to make enough cash off this registration process to then have some money to go after people to make an example of them. It's kind of like a circle jerk. It's kind of like a circle jerk, actually, isn't it? It's kind of like a Ponzi scheme. We need to just continue. We continue getting people to sign the regulation forms and hand over the cash so that we can go and punish people that haven't, so we can get more people to come over. And it's everything's kind of a Anyway, if the FCA, if anybody from the FCA is listening, I didn't just call the FCA a circle jerk or a Ponzi scheme. I have a great amount of respect for what you folks do. I'm very pro sensible crypto regulation. Let's talk. Apologies about calling your organization a Ponzi. Cool. Okay.
Frey makes a personal request to make taxes easier, please.
That would
Yeah,
be
me too. I'll sign
HMRC.
that one.
That would be HMRC, sadly.
Oh,
Yeah.
Schultzy, taxes are exactly as easy as you want them to be. You just got to run the gauntlet a little bit.
I'm not that courageous, good sir.
I mean, people have certainly chosen, you know, unorthodox tax schemes to follow over there when it comes to crypto to make life easier.
So I would say that I'm actually taking a pretty aggressive stance when it comes to the way America does taxes with crypto. But they're all, like, in my opinion, defensible areas, right? Like the couple that sued the IRS for their staking income back, right? Like I actually follow that kind of thing. Not that I'm advising others do that, but if they were to come down on me for like not claiming my staking rewards as income as opposed to like created funds, then I would defend that position.
You'd have somewhere to point.
I would have somewhere to point, yeah. Because they ended up settling. They didn't actually continue pushing through to like create precedent, but to me, that's enough to say, hey, it's possible to actually move on that. But yeah, so there are some things that we're taking an aggressive stance on. Ooh, I did not. So Todd just said, did you see the guidance IRS just posted? No, I did not. If you could post that or link that, I would love to read it. If it flies in the face of what I said, maybe I won't read it.
Then oops.
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh, wait, I know this one. Then boys will be boys, right?
That's right. Ignorance is bliss or something. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that if you don't know the law, then you can't be in trouble for the law. And I'm pretty sure it's written down in stone somewhere.
Makes total sense.
Right? So one thing I think we should talk about that we haven't touched on yet, because it's been like the flavor of the last week, is permissioned CosmWasm on the hub.
Oh, yeah. I did see that come up. The Prop 811.
Is this the
Yes.
first, second, third, fourth time this has come up on the hub?
I think this is the second time. I think the first one was Prop 69. Literally. So
of course it was.
I'll say that I'm in favor of CosmWasm on the hub, permissioned CosmWasm. From my experience with Kujira, permissioned CosmWasm can kind of suck because they have proposals what feels like every hour of the day. They're on like proposal 450 and they've been out for less than a year. So that means more than one proposal per day on average. And that sucks. Like it's a small task to do, but it's a task nonetheless. But like CosmWasm needs something in order to be able to iterate quicker. So we're voting yes on it.
I'm not an Atom validator, so I don't vote. But I think, like, I mean, I can't see it hurting to have it. I think a lot of people were, you know, not happy that it was tied to this App Store thing. I didn't read the prop, so I don't really know what they're talking about with that. But you know, I don't. Maybe it would have been better to sort of have one without the other, if you know what I mean. Maybe just vote on just permissioned CosmWasm as a concept, and then if there was something else they wanted to attach to that, then attach that after. And then a lot of people were talking about it being pushed up there by Juno to be able to use mesh security as well, and DAODAO potentially. So I'm not sure where people get this information or whether they just sort of infer it. And then Ben Davis, Prop 811 on Atom is Juno PsyOps.
All right. If you're going to make a claim like that, you got to get in here real quick and explain that to us, because I've seen both sides, and that's such a claim that I think you should honestly hop on real quick and explain that position.
So for those people that are listening later who are on podcast players, Soy2 Studio has also said it was proposed by block creators of Juno to try and shill Mesh. So that's maybe that's the conspiracy theory. I haven't been following this enough to have actually done any due diligence. So I don't know if that's the case. But we've got Ben Davis in the chat saying, I think facetiously, the prop is Juno PsyOps. We have Soy2 Studio saying it was in fact proposed by block creators of Juno to try and shield mesh. 100% back in that. And Rama and saying that it will DM us the tweet. Okay, happy days. And Rama, friend and collaborator of the podcast, has agreed and said is block creators. So we're obviously out of the loop here, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I haven't paid attention the last like couple days on it, but now I'm way more curious. Like,
I could just ask block creators.
Yeah, you could. To me, it's fascinating that it would be a psyops to add Cosm Wasm to the hub. Like,
I'm not sure it's a psyop, but it might be. If it's true, it's block creators. I think they'd just admit it, wouldn't they? Unless why would they not admit it?
Sorry, I was typing. I don't know. Who knows? Like, I don't think it's a psyop. I think maybe if they were doing it to try and get mesh on the hub, what's wrong with that? They can vote on that later, right? It's permission to cause them wasm. So
yeah, I think the general theme of the prop is a bit shitty is like fair though. I mean, I've seen the prop in question. Yeah, CW on the hub probably should have happened a long time ago. Permission CW, but it just seems like it. Like a lot of props, it does too much. It needs to do a bit less.
oh man, I have an admission to make right now. I didn't realize that I read the ChatGPT summary on MintScan, not the full contents. I didn't realize there was a full contents. I was betrayed by MintScan. So wow, all right, I need to actually go read this prop now and see why it's
potential backflip here on Game of Nodes.
I didn't realize they had it. I mean, it's cool. So I don't think we talked about MintScan 2.0. I'm not a huge fan of the changes. I think that a lot of it is like so-called design, where they made changes just so like to make changes to make it like seem more modern. And I think they had it closer to the way it should have been before.
I liked some of it. Like, it is there's no question that it is more feature rich now. It does a lot more stuff, but they've also done worse what they used to do well. So it used to be very quick and easy to do some sleuthing around MintScan. You could just, all the links worked properly. You could just, the things that I would have asked them to improve rather than redesigning the whole thing and ruining a whole heap of stuff would be more like to populate more transactions per page and to pre-cache transactions as you're clicking through, and UX improvements like that, rather than sort of reinventing their own wheel and removing some spokes. So yeah, I mean, I do like some aspects of it, but other aspects I completely hate.
I mean, I certainly agree that there are aspects that I enjoy about it. Like, I think it is. It feels faster. I don't really know why, but it feels faster. But it feels so much more cumbersome to navigate. So much more cumbersome.
100% feels slower to me, and I find like finding the things that I'm looking for is also quite a pain in the ass. The pages are really long and sectioned for scrolling. I would prefer if they were sort of just tabbed out across the top. Yeah. I mean, I was a beta tester. I probably should have like raised some of those issues, but I was busy at the time. So, yeah. And it looks like we might have lost the phrase going into phone time.
Now he's reading the prop.
No, reading. We're down stuff, but things are happening. So just needed to respond to a thing.
Your phone stopped vibrating? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's still vibrating once a minute. But
okay.
I think a resolution could be at hand, possibly. We'll see.
We have thus far avoided the drill tweet of the week.
You missed it?
All right, hit the banner.
Is there a banner?
We can do it. I feel very on the spot because last week I was accused of being non-random, but obviously true randomness is basically impossible for a human. So I feel like there's now a bar that I can never reach. But I'm just gonna have to flick. I'm just gonna.
I'll tell you when to stop. Stop. Fuck you.
Oh God, we are in the section Obama.
Number 4
Okay.
on the page.
You want number 4 on the page? Okay. I mean, they're all gold. My thumb was on a particularly good one. So I can't. This is all spelt badly. You should know that ahead of time. Everything's spelt wrong. Every single word in this tweet. I'm little Jessica. I'm dying because of Obama's help care bill. I'm on my deathbed, and the doctor is ignoring me because my daddy works hard.
Being from the States, that's not very funny.
As a casual observer, I find it funny.
There's some for those of you following along at home who maybe have a copy of the drill book. I'm sure everybody has a reference copy, possibly in their bathroom. I can recommend the Obama section. I wasn't even aware there was an Obama section. That entire page was mostly gold. I like the one about the Final Fantasy VI nudes. That was funny. But unfortunately, that was not the one Noel picked. So if you like that, like and subscribe, Game of Nodes, and there'll be another drill tweet once again giving us a copyright strike next week.
I looked at our statistics of all our copyright strikes. It's like every fucking episode.
We just managed to keep like I mean, obviously, like there's a lot of things that we get copyright strikes for. We haven't got any for the drill tweet of the week. I think it would be kind of, if that was how we got, you know, it'd be like Al Capone getting done for tax evasion. We get done for like, hey, the thing that we had to bring you down once and for all was the drill book's publisher was like, you can't verbally reproduce tweets. Then
That'd be hilarious.
That of all the things to get shut down for, that would be top of the pile of that would be quite on brand, I think, for this podcast to go out in a blaze not of glory, but of just latent misunderstanding of basic intellectual copyright law. The fair use policy doesn't mean this, lads.
So Schulte, we were involved in another
Ponzi
network. No, not a Ponzi. Another network launch overnight. So the launch went smoothly. That was great. Did you happen to notice that the price feeder for this particular chain is built into the chain?
I did notice, and it's very strange. I am excited about said chain. However, I'm not excited about how to get into said chain. Were you in the conversation with Artifact? I think earlier this week.
Are you talking about two different chains?
No, same chain.
No, same
Are you
chain.
sure? I
I'm
think
so
you're talking
sure.
about two different chains.
I'm
'Cause
sure.
I remember this conversation, and I've seen two conversations that are very similar. I mean, you can both say it out loud at the same time.
No, I'm 100% not going to.
Yeah,
Well,
me
say
too.
say it in the private chat, and I'll adjudicate. But I'm pretty sure you're talking about different chains.
Well, I don't want to talk about anything other than how interesting it was that we don't have to run a separate price feeder.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome. I think that channel has a lot of cool things going for it, and I'm pretty excited about it. It's just, yeah, I'll just say I'm excited about it and leave it at that, because I can't verify what I'm saying for truth. So, also, I have one more thing to say here. Their naming of the daemon, wrong. It is objectively wrong. They could have done so much better. They should have asked me and I would have given them a way better name. Like they had a very clear pattern they could have run with, and they didn't.
The pain, the absolute pain of that name. And it, heavy use of tab complete when doing like, anything there is just tab, 100%. One shortcut, I'm
Command
afraid
and
you'd be
R.
happy to know that I do know.
Command and R.
What's Command and Up?
Oh, sorry, Control R.
Oh, Control R. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is just
Then
if you're banging out a bunch of different ones in a row, you just want to tab complete the daemon name. It's so annoying. Anyway, what else has been going on? I've been doing all of the talking here.
Well, we've done the news, and it's taken us an hour. We're now Game of Nodes, the fucking news podcast. So I mean, we've now reached final form. It's quite impressive actually to see how far we come. All it took was Usurper to fuck off for a few weeks for us to have to get our shit together.
The other participants in this call's participation rate in the news is dismal, by the way. I think you all need to do further research before each episode.
I have a lot of research. You just had to throw down your gauntlet in the beginning and saying, no, I'm going first. And I was like, okay, well, whatever, you do your thing then.
Well, what if you stepped on my news, Schultzy? Then I'd be fucked, wouldn't I?
That's what I'm saying.
So what further news do you have?
I mean, you covered a lot of it. I threw up the Cosmos Hub one as well. There's other things, but I don't know. I don't have enough context to really discuss them. So Cosmosm, I think, is pretty easy to discuss because it's high drama, right? But like the Atom Accelerator research fighting off for new, I don't know.
I've not heard of this. Rama says, did we talk about all these chains locking tokens via ICA on the hub, then hitting the unbonding limit and no one telling users? Anyone know what that means?
No.
I'm seeing a lot of shaking heads.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means.
Rama, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Sorry, bud.
But it sounds like everybody's getting rugged again.
I did not know that there was an unbonding limit.
I didn't know there was an unbonding limit either.
Is that like...
Look at the code.
I know there's like an ETH unbonding limit. It's right now, like it takes like a couple days to unbond, but because there's so many people unbonding, it takes like 45 days to unbond right now. Something crazy. But I didn't know there was something like that for Cosmos.
Oh, 7 unbondings per account. Yeah, everybody knows that.
Oh, not chain wide. It's an account. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe they should have a like counter in the in Kepler. It's like you've redelegated or unbonded X amount of times from this account. It does reset though, doesn't it? After those redels or unbonds are finished, doesn't it reset?
Yeah, it's active unbondings.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to do, right? Why, if you have 7 individual unbondings ongoing, like why? I guess it bloats the state to some degree if you have a lot of unbondings. Maybe it's an attack vector, like if you had 10,000 Juno and did 10,000 unbondings on 10,000 accounts, I guess all of that information has to be passed through the state.
That's true. And that would be duplicated for every block, basically.
Yeah, exactly. ICA vaults could have lots. Yeah, I guess so.
So wait, hold on. Okay, so what you're saying, Rama, is that people have put tokens into, oh shit, Quasar? Is that how it's pronounced? Someone, Frey, come on now. I see that look. Is that right? Someone give me a thumbs up.
It's Quasar. The phrase calls it Quasar or something weird.
No, I'm the one that calls it weird. That's why I had to verify. All right.
I know someone's dropping weird names out here.
Yeah. Okay, so they put the tokens into Quasar, which then bonds them to Osmo pools, and people are unable to unbond from that. Is that what it's saying? Like they don't have that working? Rama says some Cosmos Millions and Quasar users been waiting 2 months to unbond, and no one has said anything. Really?
So James has clarified how to say that. It's Quasar.
Quasar. Got it. Interesting. So is that true in general? Was there a bug that caused that to happen, Rama? Or was it that, like, obviously that wasn't designed to be the case. Like, obviously they intended you to be able to unbond. But is this like a known bug, or was this known to have gone into production with this bug effectively? Like, does that make sense? Okay. So I guess they put out a statement about it not working right now. Now I'm curious. Now I need to look into this.
Rama says Cosmos Millions has released a statement 2 days ago. I think Quasar still hasn't. I mean, what is Cosmos Millions? Is that a chain, or is it like something that's on Quasar? For everybody listening, literally everybody is now doing alternate research or fixing something, and it's just...
I'm utterly fascinated now. Like this is so okay. So I've talked up Quasar like quite a few times. I think it's a really cool product. I think they do cool things. I didn't know it was a limitation. So, this is fascinating.
Hey, so something else we might be able to mention while you're looking at that is, actually, no, we probably can't mention that. Dang it. I don't want to get in trouble. Oh no, it's I gotta work on the filter. Yeah, the Frey, what are you doing in there, man? You're been on mute for a long time and looking at your laptop. Are you over there dev-opping?
Yeah, having to do some ops shit.
And is it repaired?
No, I've got the feeling it's going to be a late one. So
Oh no. Yeah, well, dang.
Yeah, whatever, man. Everything is just a fucking lack of sleep at the moment, isn't it? Really, that's just, yeah, it's kind of fine.
Yeah, I mean, like with the young family at the moment, you must be sort of quite often be doing all-nighters, early mornings, late nights. Got to fit in the work with the bean action.
Yeah, I don't really know, because like one of the good things about I guess like being full-time freelance, obviously like you have specific calls and things you have to do with clients, but if you have to like do specific work, you can just do it whatever time, like when you can fit it in. Like it's only the calls and things that you have to do on their time zone and their kind of whatever. But so you end up like working a normal amount of hours. Like sometimes, to be fair, you end up working more hours, but like whatever pattern you can just humanly fit it in. Literally, I have no fucking clue how it's possible to have like an under six, because it's only like recently that things have calmed down a bit. I mean, you get the odd week where things are inexplicably quite fine, but you can't bank on it, and things change so often. Like, I honestly don't know if I was still working in the job I had 5 years ago, where I had to get up fucking 6:30, 7 o'clock every day, whatever, and commute, go into the office, talk to other humans for 6-7 hours in the day, like interact with other people, be coherent, then come home. I just don't know where the hours in the like, what the fuck? Like at the moment now, it's like you do like 3 hours work, you have a 10-minute nap, you tidy up all the shit around the house that's fucked, you have 2 slices of toast, then you work for 3 hours, then you do all the other baby shit that he's doing, then you work for an hour, then you like have dinner and have like 20 minutes with your partner, then you do like another half. Like you can split it up in such a way that nothing's falling apart, that all of the washing is getting done, that things are kind of yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how. I maybe every parent looks at every other parent and goes, how the fuck do people function? Like I just don't know how you're supposed to do it around like a really rigid schedule, because the baby kind of makes their own schedule. It's mad.
I mean, I see exactly where you're coming from, but like I am in the same situation in you, as that I work from home on my own schedule, but I would find it very hard to fit in something to look after that's not already in my schedule. Like I pretty much spend most of the day working and, as you say, doing the other things in between up until a certain time where I cut off, and then I go and do some exercise, and I come back and cook dinner and then do some more work or spend some time with
So the
my
exercise, that's now, you have a baby, that's now gone.
it doesn't exist anymore.
You can, unless you're insanely disciplined or you work it into the between your house and your office, it's probably gone. And that cooking dinner, forget about that. Cooking dinner. Yeah, it's eggs on toast now.
Well, I actually cook lunch and dinner and breakfast. So I
Wow.
guess there's some
You're gonna
time
love
savings
you're
there.
gonna love the 1 hour you get on Sunday to make soup for every day of the week. Yeah, you're gonna need to be much more efficient about that cooking business. It needs to be cooked ahead of time, but still nutritious enough that you don't die.
So
But
I
microwave
don't.
ideally.
People are going to probably like question why I'm onto this so late, but I have found the air fryer to just be the business.
Didn't you bring
So
this up last week as well?
did I just cook chicken in that bitch every day for lunch. So preparing is going to the air fryer, throwing the 2 bits of chicken in there and turning it on, and then coming back later to eat it. So I feel like it's pretty efficient if you're already at home. So Ben Davis says that babies with a 9 to 5 means your partner now hates you and you compete about who is most tired. It kind of makes sense.
That's plausible. I'm sure that's looking forward to that imminently in my future when we're both back at work. Anyway, but yeah, whatever.
I can
No
definitely
rest
see that in
so.
my future. My partner and I compete on everything.
I think less that we to be fair, less that we will hate each other, and more that we'll compete. I think we're both naturally competitive.
Yeah. I mean, why have a partner if you're not competing, right?
Yeah. I mean, we have it. We don't really. I'm not allowed to play board games because apparently I'm a sore loser and a bad winner. So I think possibly I'm not much fun to compete against anyway.
Yeah, I think we talked about board games like last week or the week before. I'm terrible to play board games with because I hate them. But also my partner is terrible to play board games with because it sounds like she's exactly like you. Gets upset if she loses and then stuffs it down your throat if she wins, which is every time. So
To be fair, I think I'm actually a better loser than I'm made out to be. Like, I think the point is the manner in which, like, the spirit in which the game is played. Like, if we're just all dicking around and it's just like a friendly, it's just like it's cool, just like boys will be boys, just some of the lads playing a board game, couple of pints, board game. Whatever. If it's about the playing, it's about being with friends. You win, you lose. Potato, it's a wazzy, it's a woozy, whatever, man. But if there's somebody who really fucking cares, who really cares a lot, then I think it's more about the person you're across the table from. Like, if somebody is getting into it, oh, then we're gonna get into it. Like, and then sure. I don't want to like, and then if you get into it, and then just because of bad dice rolls or whatever, you lose to somebody whose strat was way worse. You're just kind of like, ah, come on, man, come on, ridiculous.
That
What
is the
games are you
game of
playing?
chance.
I'm curious.
That has a strategy and dice.
No,
Well,
I've got quite a few games that are like I've got like a couple of $300+ board games. So I'm just curious what you're
Wow.
referring to.
Okay, well, hang on. Which board games are you? Where?
Whoa,
wait,
hang on.
hang on.
Schultzy, do you not have a dedicated games playing table? On the way?
I do actually. Yes, I spent like $4,000 on it. Hold on. I can pull this bad boy up.
Wait, what?
I maybe would not have
How do you
specified
have?
the amount you
Oh
paid
wait,
for that.
my follow-up question is going to be answered by America, right? I was about to say, how the fuck do you have the space for a dedicated fucking gaming table?
So okay, yeah. So I'll put a link in the chat. So
Where the fuck are you going to put that, Schultzy?
So it's not going to be. So the reason why it works as a dedicated gaming table is because the top slats come off, and so it has a vault inside that you can put your board games inside of. And then when you want to use it as a table again, you just put the slats back on top of.
Oh, so
Right?
it can be used as a regular table as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at the
This
link.
is
and
the
you
most
like,
fucking decadent table I've ever seen in my entire life. I can't
it's
believe
pretty
it
baller.
has a bloody turning.
I'm not getting that one. That one's like $15,000. That is not what I'm getting.
Oh, okay.
Mine is
need to
their
go look at-
modular gaming table where it's like their cheapo
Okay.
version. I don't have the one where you crank and the vault goes up. That is amazing. I
That
would
is
love to have
amazing.
it. I am not putting that much money into it.
That is like astonishing, genuinely astonishing. What do you buy the man who has everything? You buy him a table with a cranky, rotatey thing. That's wild. That's totally insane.
So it can be optioned too, right, Schultzy, with like drink holders and like little card things and
Oh yeah. There's all sorts of accessories that I have coming for it. Oh, you better believe it. Well, so the thing is though, is I'm more interested in using it for role playing than I am for board games, right? Which is like a completely different section. So like board games, really enjoy board games. They're fantastic. But role playing's where I really like Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm not a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan, but as that example, everyone knows Dungeons and Dragons. Love playing Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, for one, Wizards of the Coast are huge assholes. So that's like for number one. Like very recently, they're planning on changing the licensing for it so that anyone who basically used the words in like YouTube would have to pay them for just saying it. Like their license right now is pretty good. Or they reverted it to its old one, which is good. You have got an open ability to use like fighters, withers, whatever. Whereas before they were going really hardcore into it. But Wizards of the Coast is awful. Dungeons and Dragons is just not very creative. There's some way more interesting settings out there than Dungeons and Dragons. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I don't play. I know a fair few people that do that, and the kind of Lovecraftian one, whatever that one's called,
Call of Cthulhu,
yeah. And then the cyberpunky one, is that Netrunner?
There's a couple. There's Shadowrun. There's also just Cyberpunk. Like that's just
I think it's the one with run in the name.
Yeah, so I think that's Shadowrun.
Okay. But I don't have any direct experience with them, so that's the end of my. I don't have anything useful to add. Sorry.
I love them. I think they're amazing. I haven't been able to do it for a long time because like I used to have a really like close crew. We'd do it every week, and then COVID hit, and my friend group basically exploded after that because people moved all over the place because they wanted to get away from the city and blah 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 blah. But I've been able to play in actually quite a while, and it's very sad.
That is kind of a bummer. I've decided that one of my dad personas is to get back into that kind of stuff, because during COVID we were doing like Worms, like playing Worms online every week, like doing like 6 rounds. It got really competitive actually. Like everybody was tracking their kill death ratio and everything. But I'm just like, okay, well now we don't do like I don't really have any kind of regular things in. I'm just like, yeah, okay, it's gonna be tabletop gaming. Get back into it. That's what we're gonna do. That's my plan. I just need to fucking it's like marketing a shitcoin actually. You need to just like or heroin. You need to give people their first taste free, like kind of get them into it, like give them a free couple of models or a rule book or some shit. Get them
Do
around
you
your
have to
house.
register to sell heroin?
I'm pretty sure that's just straight up illegal. I think if you just give somebody a couple of like Games Workshop minis, you don't have to register with the FCA, but I'm not a lawyer. If you're trying to market your games night, possibly that's a cult or a Ponzi. I don't know which. You might need to register with the Financial Conduct Authority, but I suspect not.
Well, a mini is like an NFT, and since you don't have to register if you sell an NFT, you
fucking-
probably wouldn't.
we're
if you gave
probably
a mini.
okay. I've actually this is massively off topic now, but I've actually been recently in some the sleep deprived thing, but trying to do something useful with the time. I got given a big box of stuff by my parents from the loft, and in it was a bunch of Warhammer from when I was like 12. And it's shit. It's so badly done. It's so badly painted. It's really badly assembled, whatever. And I'm basically kit bashing my bullshit 12-year-old attempts and then stripping the paint, but then kit bashing them into valid models for the current meta. And at some point I'll get around. To be honest, actually, the problem I've always found with minis is that assembling them is really fun, and I really love kit bashing. But actually painting is a massive, massive time sink. So don't know if I'll actually ever get them painted, but I hope I will. We'll see.
Have you seen the Warhammer Space Marines memes on YouTube?
No, I don't think
man.
so.
I got it. I'll send you a link for these.
I will enjoy, presumably. I was a Marines player back in the day. But yeah, whatever. Anyway, yeah, the only thing I was thinking about that gaming table was that like my kind of tabletop game of choice. I don't know if it's a choice. It's the only one I really have done any of recently is Team Yankee, and you need a 6x4 foot table. So that would be that's I think bigger than that gaming table that you posted. Quite big. Like, also, who the fuck has space for a 6x4 fucking table? I mean, I don't. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't really either. I'll make it work though.
Yeah, at the moment, I guess it's just going to be on the floor, like kids, which is kind of fine, I guess. Revert to form. Yeah. So validating, huh?
This is kind of a late topic to put at the end, but honestly, there have been a lot of great validators popping up in chat that I hadn't seen before. Like, I'm starting to see people fall off the indie sets and seeing new people come back in that I actually really enjoy. There's some good characters popping in.
There have unfortunately been people dropping out too, and I mean, a year or more is a long time for people to just constantly run at a loss. And you got to remember, like, a lot of the validators are hobbyists, and it seems like a good thing to get into, and then you're kind of stuck. And I guess you're always just hoping that the next bull run is around the corner, but it doesn't necessarily work out
Just
that way.
hoping that the next one is the leap home, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, people looking to try and, recover their inputs over, 12 or 18 months or whatever, and then that not eventuating, and then, eventually having to capitulate and go back to not doing that. A lot of people support their validators with their 9 to 5. Like, I think everyone out there thinks it's like this glorious thing where you just make money hand over fist, but not necessarily the case. So, yeah, unfortunate to see that some people have been shaken out. But, also good to see more people entering the space. It's always good to have like more minds on the job,
I think you're seeing that a bit more with like whenever an upgrade goes a bit funny now, I'm seeing more status notifications of like validators then going inactive and then not coming back online. And I think those are just they're basically unattended validators. And even some of those are from larger validation companies, and they've just I guess they've just soft.
Yeah. Well, they probably
soft
clip their
left the
staff
chain.
numbers as well. Yeah. And it's like just not the coverage that they need to be across everything.
Yeah, I used to see like the odd thing where like somebody will get pinged and it's just a dead Discord name, and that's presumably where
Ooh, that I haven't
somebody.
seen.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times. You see, it says like people haven't upgraded to the new Discord name format. And it would just say like Discord user, blah, blah, blah. It's usually because somebody, I guess, had a work account and they killed it off.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see, but you know, that's crypto.